Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, and it's time for our Opera Without Words edition. I'm so excited about this one because I love opera without all of that screeching and shrieking and hysteria. Of course, it's wonderful with the screeching and screaming and hysteria, whatever it's called as well, but I really understand if you want to leave that stuff out because the tunes are gorgeous and the orchestration is beautiful, and sometimes it's just so nice not to have someone hectoring you in various languages. Now, of course, I've done quite a bit of opera without words. I mean, we just did the Rimsky-Korsakov opera suites. I've done the Janacek opera suites. We've already done our Wagner orchestral music, which consists of a lot of that sort of thing. But opera without words is a little different because opera without words is just what it sounds like. It's the part that people are singing without the singing, rather than, say, the overture or the purely instrumental interludes or preludes or the ballet music. I mean, many of these discs will include that as well. But you also want to hear the singing parts. Why? Well, because the singing parts have the tunes. So I've got a big stack of opera without words discs here. I mean, they're just unlimited quantities of them. There are tons and tons and tons of them. But these are the ones that I've found most entertaining for the most part over the years. And I will share them with you. And if you have some of your own faves, you can certainly toss them in the pot. I mean, I just have to limit this to a rational number. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, something like that. Plenty of opera without words. Because after all, one of the principal objections to opera is that it takes forever. It's terribly, terribly time-consuming. And the without words business gives you all the good stuff in a reasonable span of time. So I'm hoping to get through this little chat also in a reasonable span of time. So let's start out with one opera that is like just the king of the without words thing here. Wait a minute, I got like billions of them here. And that opera is, of course, Carmen. I think I have these in the right order. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I think I got them all in the right order. Carmen is the opera without words par excellence because not only does it have two suites, but it's just every single number is a hit. They just are. They're just the suites and the instrumental interludes are hits. The arias are hits. The choruses are hits. It's just a hit. It's amazing. It really is. And I have three Carmen things. The first of which is quite a bit of fun. This was the Carmen Symphony as arranged by José Cerebrier, that wonderful conductor who's so creative and who was an assistant of Stokowski, and who conducted all those great Stokowski transcription things on Naxos, which include things like the Mussorgsky-Boris Godunov symphonic synthesis, which is in a way an opera without words, right? I mean, it is. And he put together a Carmen suite, which he calls the Carmen Symphony. It's not a symphony. It has 12 little movements, including all the stuff in the suites, plus some of the stuff in between, which is really very, very nice. And this recording is with the Orchestra Sinfónica de Barcelona. Ooh, baby. Y Nacional de Catalunya, pardon me. I left out. You know, European orchestras, they have to have these unbelievably long titles. It's crazy because they merge and they do things and they're all state subsidized, and so the name is political and they just get to be, especially it seems like in France and Spain. Well, Germany does too, because you had like, you know, the Saarbrücken Symphony of SWR and Lower Westphalia, or the, you know, and then there was, remember, the USSR large symphony radio and television Moscow Symphonic dementedly huge ensemble thing. Well, so here we have Orchestra Sinfónica de Barcelona y Nacional de Catalunya. There you go. Here it is, the Carmen Symphony, coupled with the two Larlesienne suites. As a special bonus, it's 33 minutes of Carmen music, and it's quite lovely. But you could also get, I love this one. This is even bigger, I think. I think you get even more. What's the timing here? Yes, 45 minutes of Carmen music in Carmen for Orchestra by Morton Gould on Living Stereo. Oh, this is so much fun. You get all the hit numbers. It's just marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. This is a classic Carmen without words thing. And of course you get, the lady here chewing on her handkerchief or whatever she's chomping on there. I don't know quite what's going on there, but it's great. It's great. It's a classic, fabulous 50s production back in the days when the distinction between classical repertoire and pop's repertoire and popular music and classical music was not the ridiculous, snotty differentiation that we have today. People knew their light classics. They knew their popular classics because they were ubiquitous. They were on the air, they were on the radio, they were on television. And Carmen without words was the perfect thing to use, to serve that particular market. And there was another very similar one to Morton Gould's. Here it is. It's Carmen without words with Andre Kostelanetz and his orchestra. That one was RCA. This one was on Columbia and Orsoni. And you also get, just to round off the Spanish theme, you get Ravel's Bolero, Glinka's Jota Aragonesa. I love that. It uses the tune that's also the post-horn solo in Mahler's Third Symphony. A lot of people don't realize that Mahler quoted the Jota Aragonesa in the Scherzo of the Third, but it is. It's a tune that goes ya da 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 ya da 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 da. That's the Jota Aragonesa. And it's in Mahler's Third, and Glinka, and Liszt, and all kinds of people. And also we get here Falla's Ritual Fire Dance. Yay! And let's see, who's this one? Oh, and Falla's Spanish Dance from La Vida Breve. I love that. Oh, that's so gorgeous. It's got a great castanet part. Anyway, Kostelanetz does Carmen. So there are 3 Carmens. Then, of course, one of the great tunesmiths in all of Romantic opera was Puccini. And Kostelanetz and his crew also did Puccini without words. And this is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Puccini without words is actually kind of is a good thing to do. And the reason is because the typical Puccini aria has a very effective form in which the tune of the aria comes in, but the voice doesn't sing it all. The voice sings bits of it. It repeats itself with varying orchestration and then rises to a glorious climax when the voice finally sings the whole tune. All, once, consistently, all the way through it, a big single melody. I mean, this is a standard formula for Puccini, and so most of his big arias do that. And so they work really well if you leave the voice out, because the voice is kind of an appurtenance until you get to the very top. And then, it's a climax anyway, whether you have the voice or not. So it's quite wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. You get highlights from La Bohème, Madame Butterfly, and Tosca. And I wish it had Turandot here too. I wish In Questa Reggio were here, because that's sort of the locus classicus of Puccini's technique. Because the tune is ya da 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 do 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 ya da 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 da. Well, you don't really hear that until the voice takes. I mean, the voice only sings it at the big climax, followed by the chorus. But you hear the tune over and over again in gorgeous different orchestrations. Anyway, it happens here too. Vissi d'Arte does that. Lots of these arias do that. They're just beautiful. So, what's not to love? Yes, Puccini without words. And of course, Verdi works very well without words too, just because the tunes are so great. This is Eric Kunzel with the Cincinnati Pops. And you get, let's see, what do you get? Aida. Of course, Aida has the triumphal scene. It has the ballet, which is wonderful. I mean, you can have that, and it's only 5 minutes long. And then you've got, let's see, Otello and Il Trovatore and La Traviata and Rigoletto, Falstaff, and Nabucco. Of course, you have Va pensiero sull'ali dorati. The big chorus of Hebrew slaves, which used to be the Italian national anthem. Anyway, this is on Telarc. It's gorgeously recorded. It's absolutely marvelous. Marvelous. Because Verdi wrote a lot of orchestral music, but it's mostly overtures, ballet music, preludes, things like that. But why not do some arias too? Great stuff. But of course, as we all know, and the rest of this talk has to be devoted to that king of opera without words, Wagner. Now, it's really very ironic that the reason that Wagner is usually done without words is because his music is theoretically symphonic. In other words, it has a certain flow to it and coherence that goes on for a certain extended period of time. And it does. I mean, there's no question that it does. I don't think that makes it symphonic. I think symphonic means something else entirely. I think that means something to do with a general formal structure and coherence and goal-directed, which Wagner sometimes has and sometimes doesn't. But a great deal of Wagner, vast stretches of Wagner, consist of endlessly repeated leitmotifs that it's just arid desert. And you've got to have the singers. I mean, Wagner requires singers as much as anyone else requires singers. But you can stitch together these syntheses of the various operas. One of the most famous early ones was Stokowski's, Parsifal symphonic synthesis. And you can do it. You can get away with it. And they've been done over and over again by different people with varying degrees of cleverness. Now, one of the sort of more interesting Wagner without words discs is this one. This is Wagner without words on Sony. This is all George Szell and the Cleveland Orchestra. And it is the most fabulous Wagner disc ever made, probably. It's just amazing. But it's not really Wagner without words, because what it really is all of the usual Wagner excerpts, orchestral excerpts. But of course, some of those really are. I mean, Isolde's Liebestod, the immolation scene from Götterdämmerung. These are all things written for the voice that get played without the voice. And one of the wonderful things about Wagner is that just like Puccini or these other people, when he gets a tune or really gets going, the music's just as lovely without the voices at all. So this Szell Cleveland disc is just hot stuff. It's wonderful. It always has been. And it's not one of the more extended symphonic reworkings of Wagner. It's all the usual short things, the Ride of the Valkyries, and what do you get here? And the Entry of the Gods into Valhalla, and the Magic Fire music, and Forest Murmurs, which is really an idiotic piece by any standard. It's just annoying. And then Dawn and Siegfried's Rhine Journey, and Siegfried's funeral music, and the immolation scene, and the Prelude and Liebestod from Tristan. And what do we get? Prelude to Act 1 from Meistersinger Overture. It's called a prelude. It's an overture. So that's great. That's absolutely great. And one of the more interesting of all of the Wagner without words things was this thing. Tannhäuser with Tannhäuser, or the song contest on the Wartburg, or whatever the hell that thing's called. This is a very extensive symphonic synthesis made by Lorin Maazel with the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. And it's like, let's see, what is it? It's 10, 20, 30 plus 28. Yeah, 58 minutes of Tannhäuser. And this is kind of interesting because Tannhäuser is not one of those late Wagner operas. It's not one of the more symphonic in construction type pieces, nor is it one of the more interesting operas melodically, but it does have the overture and Venusberg Bacchanal, which is like 25 minutes of orchestral music right away, right from the very start, which is just fantastic. It leads right into the first act. And so there is this big, long thing in it that you can, it makes a wonderful, wonderful piece separately. I'm just playing around with this to see what we get. But it is really quite a nice way, frankly, to get to know Tannhäuser, an opera which I think has its patchy parts. And so this is, if you like all of this, then it's really a decent way to get into the larger opera, which can be rather difficult, frankly. I mean, it was enormously popular in Wagner's day. It was one of that and Lohengrin, the romantic operas par excellence, when people couldn't deal with Tristan or the Ring or any of the big, really big, long, mature ones. But I still think that this is a nice introduction, although it's probably out of print. I don't know. Who knows? Okay. Now, rings without words. I think that's a lot of the rest of this. The Ring Without Words was another Lorin Maazel Berlin Phil production, and this was really one of the first Ring Without Words things, where he took all 4 operas and made this sort of very imaginative assemblage. And since then, it's been done by a bunch of other people. But this was one of the originals. It's Lorin Maazel, the Berlin Phil. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. And this Telarc production is really, I think, still unequaled in the Ring Without Words category, or one of the ones that's one of the best. And I enjoy it. It's wonderful to just play. Just put it on and just let it rock. And it's just terrific. Then there came this guy. The guy was Henk de Vlieger. I mean, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. He's Dutch. My guess is he's Dutch. He was born in 1953, in case anybody cares. And Henk de Vlieger made all kinds of Wagner symphonic arrangements from most of, or if not all, of the Wagner operas. And the rest of these things are a lot of those. And let's see what we got here. First, there is this one, again on Sony, with a Christian Järvi and the Baltic Sea Philharmonic. This is not my favorite one. It's not terrible, but there are better ones out there, which we'll get to. But what he did an absolutely terrible Tchaikovsky Sleeping Beauty Symphony, which was just ridiculous. It was absurd. And fortunately, this is much better than that, because he's using de Vlieger's arrangement. So that was a good thing. Classics Today, we reviewed the Tchaikovsky thing and trashed it quite handily. I was very proud of that review. Victor Carr, I believe, was the critic, and he knows his Tchaikovsky. But we know our Wagner, and de Vlieger does justice to the work. He really does. It's sensitively done. It's a good arrangement. And this is a decent one, but it's out there, just so you know. Then there was this one, same piece on bis. It's 65 minutes, by the way, which gives you a very, very good chunk of music from the Ring. All of the favorite orchestral excerpts are there, plus some nice connecting material and some things that sort of tell the story a little bit more consistently and coherently. So this one is with the Royal Swedish Orchestra under Lawrence Rennes, or Rennes, or however he pronounces his name. It's Renes. Rennes, I don't know, I don't care. And it's, this is an SACD. It's very well recorded, as you can imagine. Bis does beautiful work. And this is the same thing. Now, the most notorious of all of the de Vlieger arrangements, and it's out of print, but I mean, was this. These made my most horrible record cover award video, if you want to take a look at that. This was Edo de Waard with the Netherlands Radio Philharmonic. Now, Edo de Waard did a lot of Wagner. I find these performances to be rather dull, to be honest with you. I've never really enjoyed them. I've kept them for the covers. And because, whoa, look at this is the first one. Mm-hmm. This one is Parsifal. Yes, with the dead swan. Could have been Lohengrin, too. That also is a dead swan, more or less. But, or a swan thing. And then we have the Ring. These critters are supposed to be, I think, Valkyries of some kind, or Norns. They could be Norns, but they're some hideous thing. But the best was Tristan and Isolde. Yes, this was the one that won the most horrible record cover ever award. Ready? Look at that. Look at this. Look at that. I mean, isn't that just... I know there's a reflection coming off of it. I'm afraid to take it out of its box. I don't even want to handle it. Oh, God. So, yes. So these were fun just for that purpose. And, but I don't think they're around anymore. And if they do come back, I'm sure it won't be with the original covers. It's such a pity. But then, my favorite Wagner's, of those arrangements actually, are these ones that appeared on Chandos with Nimi Järvi conducting, because Järvi's just exciting. You know, he doesn't bullshit. He just plays the music hard, and it works really well. And you get, let's see, the Ring. Here's the Ring arrangement right here. And you also get the Siegfried Idyll, and it's a very good Siegfried Idyll because it's only 15 minutes long. And the shorter the Siegfried Idyll is, the faster it gets played, the better it sounds, I'm telling you. So this is really nice to have. And Järvi gets through this thing in what, 60 minutes? Yeah. I love the quicker tempi. And it's with the Royal Scottish National Orchestra, and everyone just has a jolly good time. So that's the third of the rings that we've talked about. Remember, Maazel's The Ring Without Words is different. That's a different arrangement. And the Szell is, of course, the usual ring stuff. So this is the Vlieger ring arrangement. And you also get, here's Parsifal without the dead swan. I think this cover is a little more tasteful, I think. You get Parsifal. And you also get the Overture and Venusberg Ballet from Tannhäuser, which is one hell of a, 20 minutes long. Yeah, it's one hell of a coupling. It's really great because that's almost like getting an orchestral Tannhäuser for no extra charge as a bonus. And the prelude to Act 3 of Lohengrin, which is simply noisy and vulgar and tasteless. And that's why it's so popular, because everyone likes it when Wagner really gets to his inner crudeness and lets it all hang out, as he does in this Lohengrin prelude to Act 3. Yes. You know how it goes. It's wonderful. Okay. And finally, last but not least, here's one we haven't spoken of. Die Meistersinger, which has wonderful orchestral music. You know, it's got the preludes, and it's got the dances of the apprentices and the marches of the masters and all that crap happening all over the place. It's perfect. And you also get with this, see, these are nice because not only do you get these Wagner Without Words arrangements, but you get other worthy stuff, other really good stuff that goes with it. So that really is really nice. You get the Faust Overture, which is a major Wagner work, a beautiful work. And you get, let's see, I can't even read this, two entr'actes from, yeah. This is from, I can't see. Let me try and open it. And I'll see if I can tell you what it is. Boy, the way they do this, I just got to show this. Who can read that? Tiny, tiny print in some sort of, dark print against dark backgrounds. And why do they do that? I don't understand it. But then you get Meistersinger and the Faust Overture. Two entr'actes tragiques, performing version by Henk de Vlieger after compositional sketches from 1832. And they're big. They're 8 minutes and 4 minutes. You see? And this is like unique stuff. It's not real Wagner, but who cares? Everybody can do Wagner. Why not? And then we get the Columbus Overture that he wrote, the Christopher Columbus Overture. Most people don't even know that he wrote a Christopher Columbus Overture, which he wrote on commission to America. And he sent off this piece of trash, which he said was a piece of trash, and he did it for the money. It's great to have it. Great to have it in a good performance and good sound. So this is a wonderful disc all by itself. You'll see also this little SACD thing. If you care about that, I don't, but some of you may. And so those are my operas without words. You get Bizet, you get Verdi, you get Puccini, you get Wagner. What's not to love? And it's just great piles of orchestral music. It's wonderful, by the way, for road music. If you're traveling, you could go into my road music series extremely easily. They're wonderful to pop on the car system. But also, I was thinking, you may recall that Tinnitus Classics did a wonderful production called The Art of Secco Recitative, which consisted of classical period operas with just the secco unaccompanied, lightly accompanied, keyboard accompanied recitatives with none of the arias. And I think we're going to do for Volume 2, because we did Volume 1 of the Art of Secco Recitative, I think Volume 2 of the Art of Secco Recitative will be the Art of Secco Recitative without words. That will be a special production, I guarantee you. So look forward to it. It may turn up one of these days on Tinnitus Classics. You never know. Maybe one of my mystery pieces will be a secco recitative from that production, and you can tell me which one it is, from which opera. But in the meantime, enjoy your opera without words. It's just a rollicking good time. You can't do better than that, really. So keep on listening, folks. Let's make America classical again. And for those of you not in America, make the world classical again. It's great everywhere. Absolutely terrific. Thanks for joining me. Take care.